Hello, team. It's time for the Daily Detangler. And I want to talk a little bit about stratocution today. I was on a call yesterday with Catalyst and talking about stone soup and yesterday's Detangler, where I talked about seeing what's obvious and embracing the idea of what we see as individuals in our role may be obvious to us, but not obvious to others. And go with that, going with that, and how stone soup helps with that. And I was talking about the power of stone soup with regard to the previous examples that we've gone through, whether it's the Sales Enablement Society and what he's gone through there and how he built that, or the even the idea of hang gliding that we did together, or the IQVIA engagement. And wanted to talk about that journey, the idea of blending strategy and tactics, and what I'm seeing with regard to what's working there. In the stone soup story, it starts with the travelers, and the travelers are on this journey. And this journey is representative of a lot of things. But in times like this that we're in driving change, I like to think of the journey here as representing uncertainty or ambiguity. my Achilles heel is ambiguity. Where are we going? Where does this trail lead? Where's our map? Where's our compass? What's our North Star? I don't want to just walk on the trail. That ambiguity, it really does a number on me. I have to embrace the mindset shifts to stay on the path, stay on the trail. And, there's a lot of complexity here. There's the environment. Nature is complex, and weather patterns can change. And that's a part of the journey, is understanding that and embracing that. And on that journey and having that compass, I've stumbled across this wheel. And this is from the conundrum on seeing versus solving. And Catalyst was sharing how he uses this wheel, or this wheel emerged from creating the Sales Enablement Society. And when I look at this, it's very deep and it's multifaceted, and it's like a compass. There's structure to this. There's the outer ring, vision, structure, operate individuals. There's the inner circle, which looks like orchestration, the orchestration orb to me. And him and I talked about the middle yesterday. And then there's each pie slice. There's the vision slice. There's the structure slice. There's the operate slice. There's the individual slice, right? And then there's each individual piece, vision, it has model and concept, for example. So this is multifaceted. And when I looked at and I plotted out with stone soup, I talked about in stone soup the idea of the vision and how stone soup helps bring that vision to the forefront and embraces the complexity or the multidimensional aspect of a vision. And then the idea of structure and the multifaceted aspects of scoping, and how defining the scope puts a box around things. And we have a lot of ingredients that we use at Growth Enablement, but also the power of stone soup to provide direction to that scope and provide action orientation to defining scope. And then the idea of operating, I use this picture, and Catalyst was sharing that There's also the talk track, the messaging around bring what you got, put it in the pot. That's part of operationalizing in Stone Soup, this idea of operationalizing, bringing everybody together and adding their ingredients into the pot, and the operationalizing this idea of stirring. What does it mean to stir in Stone Soup? What's happening there, as the idea and the possibility is becoming more real? And then the ingredients, right? And how people each have an ingredient and all they have to do is participate and engage and bring what they got and put it in the pot. So when I look at this and I, come together into this idea of these multi layers and the intersection, being orchestration. Orchestration is like the pot. It's the container that everything goes within, and that pot has the vision in it, the structure in it, the operate in it, and the individual, contributions in it. So the pot's really important, and there are multiple dimensions of that pot that I sometimes get tripped up in. Sometimes it's like, okay, well, am I responding to an email? Is that part of the pot? Or am I creating my own pot? Like knots my own pot? Or am I throwing in on the existing, right? Sometimes I get tripped over that. So I wanted to, think this through a little bit. And when I started asking questions with Catalyst around the wheel, one of the things that was a bit of a light bulb was not only is it multidimensional, but there's two main components that come together. And that's the idea of strategy and tactics. The top half is strategy, the bottom half is tactics, if you look at it. The vision plus structure is more strategic. Individuals plus operate is more tactical. Strategy plus tactics equals stratacution. And we talk about that in the webinar. So stratacution comes to life the more I understand this wheel. And stratacution is not just a cute word, it's a critical component to Stone Soup. It is how Stone Soup gets made. It is a requirement of engaging in change and making possibilities come to life. So, the thing that's really from the conundrum that really stood out to me was, if you take any one of these away, it won't work. Now the labels may change a little bit. Like, I'm not 100% sure exactly what Catalyst means by model, right? I'm just exploring this concept though of strategy and tactics and how each comes together. And I can make an assumption that this was rooted in the SCS. The SCS worked. The SCS has had those results. And if this was his interpretation of what was required to make the Stone Soup for that, then I can get curious and I can play with it in regards to our Stone Soup making, right? But that's hard for me because it's like backward bike. Like, hey, go Stratacute, get on the Stratacution bike. and I want to be more in the tactics space. It's just I'm more operationalized than on strategy. And I'm also more in the now than future oriented, but doing both together, I see the power of it. And I see the power of Stone Soup in the now, in the today, in the moment, to bring together both and create what's possible, because that's a container, that Stratacution container of the pot is where the goodness happens. So I can engage in that, and I can get on the backward bike. I might fall off a couple times, but Stratacution is hard. It's a simple concept, but their algorithm of Stratacution is difficult. But the wheel perhaps can help me think through. So what I thought would help me was this idea of, let me take the outer ring, the vision, the structure, they operate, the individuals, and let me just lay these out. And what is Stratacution, right? This was in the webinar, but What does stratacution mean? Well, at one hand, at the strategy level, it means do the right things. So what are the right things for right now at IQVIA and Mimecast? What are the right things? Catalyst has provided tons of input. I mean, he's got so many ideas and so many asks of what the right things are. It's almost unlimited. Um, there's so many things that are doing the right things, right? So that requires structure. And that means bringing together the right people, process, information, and technology. That structure that's emerging is orchestration. How am I leaning into that? How am I building out my own ways of thinking, and even how I organize my information, or how I rationalize the volume of information against what we're doing? I mean, this structure is required, but I don't have to have it all figured out. Then operate is do those things right. If vision is about doing the right things, and strategy is about the vision and the structure, where we do the right things and we orchestrate, that's the strategy. Now we have to do those things right. That's part of the cution of stratacution, right? Do those things right and anchor and improve over time. And when I plot these out, is this what we're trying to do with is this what Catalyst is trying to do at Mimecast and IQVIA? And I think, from my perspective, it is. So there's a whole slew of C slides here in this top to bottom, right? This provides me some sort of structure of what we're doing and why we're doing it, and also the fodder for C slides. So I thought it might be good for myself to get untangled with this concept, right? Like, this is a bit, how do I ground it in today? Like, how do I take action with this? And if I bridge this over to, how a house gets built, the vision of the architecture of the house gets translated into, the idea of the general contractor, and what needs to happen when, and that structure that the general contractor provides. And then there's people who have roles to play, whether they're electricians or plumbers or painters. And then there's ongoing improvements and kind of maintenance, if you will, or continuous improvement that happens. And when I look at the layer there of architecting and general contracting roles and skill set and mindset, I can see this playing out on our team. And when I tie it back to the wheel, there's C slides in vision and structure operate in individuals. And what kind of C slides pop into my mind? Well, to me, on the vision and doing the right things, the environment we create as growth enablement really is the key. It's the environment. It's the I want to say culture, but what makes our team unique is our environment that we're creating, and the work that Catalyst is putting into creating the environment for us to participate in. And that environment, where does an idea come from? Does it come from an individual, or does it come from the environmental conditions that bring people together? And then we have an approach. We have our approach that we take that's unique. And, I'm just using the word approach kind of as a placeholder, but there's a lot to just how we're doing things that we could illuminate with C slides, and we could help people. Oops, sorry about that. And we could help people understand and help Catalyst explain. Then there's the roles coming together to do the right things as we operate. And I'm just going to call that collaboration. The way in which we work together, we use the team as a lab, we get ideas from each other, et cetera. And then on the individual level, the empowerment of, being able to say, look, follow your perspective, follow your role, wear your superhero suit, and being empowered there. And so I see these coming out of understanding the wheel and saying vision, structure, operate, individuals, doing the right things, doing those things right, creating the right environment with the right approach, with the right roles in the superhero suit, plus the right type of empowerment, if you will, the right mindset and skill set applied can be, we can create multiple pots of soup if we can unlock that. And this is to me a Dr. Octopus type of video thing where how do you control the explosiveness of this thing? And this provides a way to build off together to me. So strategy, and I look at our environment that we're creating, the growth enablement environment, it's outcome focused, it's disciplined, and it's constantly changing. We have to work at, and play with this idea that it's constantly evolving daily, minute, every minute, every minute. That's the environment that's being created. It's not going to slow down. It's actually, not fast enough for our customers, right? And it's not Catalyst being that way. It's our customer environment. So our environment that we're creating is to model customers, and bring that idea out is how our vision gets activated. And then our approach that we take is very reality based. It's experiential, and it's rooted and grounded in scientific methods. Our approach allows us to provide the structure in which to interoperate or interact, interrelate across our ecosystem. And that structure is multinodal. It's not hierarchical. It's a network of goals and plans that come together in our approach, following the scientific methods that allow us to accelerate based on scientific principles that have stood the test of time. When we get empowered as superheroes, it's a feedback driven approach where feedback becomes the critical link to innovation in C slides. And if we're not getting feedback and giving feedback to each other, that lifeblood dries up. From an activity and objective perspective, it's really easy to get detached and isolated as individuals if we don't have feedback. We also are learning how to engage the complexity of information and process, technology, etc., and not being frustrated by that. And then harnessing individual perspectives, understanding that we all have biases, and that our approach that we take is critical. So that structure wheel, that structure piece provides the structure we need to harness perspectives as individuals, and those perspectives help us be successful. And then the way that we operate and collaborate is very principle driven. We have our principles, we have our mindsets, we focus on our strengths and our superhero suit, and we're developing approaches or success methods that allow us to repeat. And that's one of the things that in all these four areas where C slides can be built, right? Like how do I build the slides in these that bring these pieces to life and allow us to have a common language, a common perspective, a common unifying atomic building block of change, like this wheel. So wanted to share what I saw with the wheel and stone soup, and also call out what's working as we are actually engaging in stone soup together. We're engaging with curiosity, and that fuels the ingredients to the soup. It also is using the wheel, where we stay on the why and the what, and we zoom in and we zoom out of the why and the what, and we double click there, and we get comfortable with the ambiguity of the fuzziness of trying to answer these tough questions, like what is learning, or what did you learn this week? Staying there allows us to focus on doing the right things. And that's part of stratocution, and that's part of the wheel. The concept of zooming in and zooming out, like I did here, I zoomed in and I zoomed back out on the wheel. I think that works. It helps provide a perspective. And then staying in tune with what's happening. What's our listening engine of each other and the client, and what Catalyst is doing with clients that allow us to stratocute and engage in strategy and tactics at the same time. So we can build as we go. I don't know what I'm going to build every morning with the detanglers. I stopped planning those. And I found that through this process, actually, the more I planned out the topics, the less relevant they were. It's kind of trippy. But the more I stay in what's happening now and how can I help the team and how do I help leverage what we currently have and what can I synthesize together to make something more concrete in the now, that gets really good feedback. So that's part of the what's working is this idea of building as we go. And this allows us to connect the dots. To me, the orchestration orb and the wheel, whatever that thing is called, the pie slice wheel, are all about connecting the dots. And all of those connected together is not only catalytic, it's a way to activate and detangle and provide clarity and architect and provide concepts. And that is empowering and freeing in a way to unleash our own superhero powers and our own strengths, if we lean into that. So I encourage you to do that. That's been your daily detangler, is to connect the dots today. Hopefully this helps you see what I'm seeing with Stone Soup and the power of stratocution. And also says, hey, sometimes this can be ambiguous or fuzzy or uncertain or fast moving. That's the nature of it. These structures help me, and I hope they help you too. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Have a great day.